Hello and welcome back to Princess Evangile. I opened the textbook. It was my first time playing teacher, so I decided to start with a recitation aloud. When the body enters puberty, the pituitary gland begins to secrete oh, for flip's sake, scientific terms now? This game hates me. The pituitary glands begin to secrete gonadophonic hormones, which cause the gonads to grow and develop. As this happens, the reproductive organs mature. Males begin to exhibit ejaculation, and females menstruation. First ejaculation and first menstruation occur at different times for different people. She's already turning red again. If you get yours comparatively early or later, it is no cause for concern. When did you ejaculate for the first time, Sensei? Oh, I had a wet dream in 6th grade. Hey, don't make me say that stuff. Oh, this is good stuff. What's a wet dream? Look, the textbook doesn't have anything about that. I don't mean the dictionary definition. What's this about? What kind of dream was it? The answer to that question is private. Oh. Look, kids won't answer if I asked you after all. I was getting into the role of teacher. Changed my manner of speaking as well. No way! I'd love to tell you how old I was when I cooked my first red rice. What? There's no way that's a term. No. Please don't. It was the... Hey, Konami, I wasn't serious. Oh, look how red she's getting. I think she might be dizzy too. Ayaka-san put a hand to her forehead. Wow, she's hot! Hey, Konami, are you okay? Maybe we should pack it up here. Maybe. What are you talking about? Huh? I have not yet begun to fight. Now continue. Right. That was a strange way to put it, though. I was a little worried, but given Konami-chan's personality, stopping in the middle might be, well, even worse. I moved on to the part where the joined sperm and the egg implanted the vaginal wall and then grow, but Konami-chan didn't seem to be listening anymore. She lied out soft as the whimpers, and then fell prostrate on her desk. Should we end here? I mean, we've made it a pregnancy at least. I think so. I also prepared a document for reading aloud, but I think I'll save it. A document for reading aloud? What are you talking about? With her elbows jutting out, Konami-chan placed her hands on the desk and lifted her face up. She looked like a boxer on the verge of a knockout. I told you! You will not defeat me! Ayaka-san and I exchanged a glance, and it felt like Konami-chan wasn't going to budge, but... Here, why don't you read this? Ayaka-san held out a book. It had a sleeve over, so I couldn't read the title, but it looked like a novel. Is this the document you mentioned? I'll take it. Should I read it aloud? Sure, though you could read it yourself if you liked. Really? Then I will. Konami-chan's eyes seemed to glaze over as she read through the book. What kind of book is this? What's the title? Nekomimi made Mekomimi's Meow Meow service. Huh? What the heck? Huh? What the heck? What's it about? Look at Konami's face. I think it should be obvious enough. Huh. Now that you mentioned it, Konami-chan's face had gone beet red. Meow? Meow, meow. But just as she was meowing, her face turned bright red, and suddenly she collapsed again. Was that a porn book or something? You got it! Yeah, maybe it was a little too advanced for Konami at this stage. Well, I guess the contents must be pretty extreme. I suppose they are a bit. It's about the Nekomimi maid, Mimiko, giving out meow meows. Okay, what the heck was a meow meow? Yeah, I don't, for the record, nobody answer that question in the comments. I don't want to know. Seriously, though, why do you even have that? That doesn't matter, does it? I guess it doesn't. You probably bought it just for this, right? Yeah, that's right. Special order from Amazon. Yeah. Okay, is that just a dodgy translation? Is that a typo, or is that them deliberately avoiding mentioning Amazon by name? Ah dear. Special order from Amazon. I'm so glad I made it here in time. You had it mailed in. We didn't have to pass school inspection. Anyway, my favourite show is on. I should go. Take care, Konami. Bye. It was probably best just to let this one slide. What? The sun was on the horizon by the time Konami-chan finally woke up. Are you okay? Masaya Sama? It was nice to hear her call me by my name after so long, and I lightly touched her forehead. Feels normal. I think it'll be okay. Where's Ayaka-sama? Oh, she went home. I think she felt a little embarrassed about forcing that book on you. Well, I should be going. Wait a minute. Yeah? Thank you for staying with me until I woke up. No problem. Konami-chan could be a bit strange, but she could also be very polite. I think that's what had made it hard for me to dislike her. I think. However, that does not change my opinion that men are dangerous. Huh? That document from before confirmed it. Men are definitely dangerous beings. In what way? Well, he was terrible. He knew he was hurting her, but he never even tried to stop. Oh, so that's what it was about. That's just because it's a porno. It's not like that in real life. But men write those novels because it's what they want, isn't it? In a strange way, Konami-chan was right. I'm growing more and more concerned. I'll be safe, I'll have my Ningara, but Wanasama... I am not like the protagonist of that story. Konami-chan turned to me seriously. Now that she was free of all that misinformation, she didn't avert her gaze, but met my eyes fiercely. If the guilty deserve punishment, then I should strike down every man in this world. Wanasama said something to me before. That you're innocent until proven guilty, and that I tend towards strong biases. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think she's right. I was glad that Ritsuko-chan had talked to her, but despite her Wanasama's recommendation, Konami-chan's fierce expression remained. I wish to trust you as well. For men in the world to be that way would be too sad a thought. I'm pretty sure it's not all of us. But how am I supposed to believe that? Konami-chan's expression turned lamentative. She wasn't angry anymore. Okay, here's how you believe that. You understand that men are people. Therefore, they are all very different from one another. This is true of... yep. You get together any group of people, and they will be completely different from one another. You put me in a room with 5 other, mid-20s white male nerds, and I guarantee you there'll still be a lot we could disagree on. There'll be a lot of stuff we agree on, but there'll be a lot of stuff we disagree on. Same goes for, so the entirety of the male gender has a lot of differences from one another. The entirety of the female the entirety of the female gender has a lot of differences from one another. Everybody in England has a great differences from one another. Everybody in Wales have great differences from one another. Everybody in Europe have great differences from one another, and so on and so forth. No two people are ever truly the same. Even when you get identical twins. I know a pair of identical twins, one of whom is kind of a dick, and the other is kind of a dick, but in a completely different way. That sounds kind of weird. It's kind of a long story to explain those two, but anyway. How? It's definitely a difficult question. I guess, well, by getting more experience. Experience? Yeah. Well, when you graduate from Vinces, you'll have a lot of chances to interact with men. That kind of experience. Of course, you can always interact with me too, but not in that way, obviously. Anyway, that's the reason I came here. I looked straight into her eyes as I spoke. Interact? With you? Yes. And do you believe that by doing this I'll come to trust men? Maybe. Well, probably not all men at least, but hey, I'm going to do the best I can so you can trust me. Very well then. I must make one request of you. Sure, anything I can do. I also wish to avoid this method, but I can think of no other way to get proof than to put my life on the line. Put your life on the line? I will come to your room tonight. I will explain the details then. Okay. I can borrow this, can't I? Konami-chan picked up the document that was still sitting out on the desk. I would like to study it for reassurance. If my understanding is correct, then... Yeah, you shouldn't read that one, actually. But before I could finish, Konami-chan was gone. What the hell does put her life in? Oh, for God's sake, can we stop showing this upskirt shot of her? It's really creeping me out. It was getting pretty late, and I was thinking she might not come after all, when there was a knock at the door. Yeah, come in. Salutations. Hey, Konomi-chan. You okay? What are you implying? Well, your face is red, your eyes are bloodshot. I cannot speak my face, but my eyes are like this because I was reading. So she'd been reading the whole time. She really did take these things seriously. Not just the document you gave me, I also read the textbook from cover to cover, and I now possess a reasonable amount of knowledge. I see. That's good. So now I understand many things regarding sexual stimulation and arousal. I see. Incidentally, the textbook stressed the concept of love especially. Oh. They say that sexual intercourse comes from love. Is that true? No. No, it is not. They are two entirely separate things. Certainly one can help the other, but they are entirely separate things. Yeah, I'd say so. The awful man in the document said it many times, too. He said, I'm doing this because I love you, Mamiko. Then one could extrapolate that it is improper to perform the act without love, right? Yeah, that's definitely true. Well, let me ask you this. Masaya-sama, you would never have intercourse with a woman you didn't love, right? The sheer frankness of her question had me speechless for a moment. Konomi-chan looked serious, and I nodded hesitantly. I think probably not. Although I'd never been in that situation before, I really couldn't say for sure. Despite the ambiguity of my feelings, though, Konomi-chan continued to press the issue. You're not just saying what I want to hear. I nodded. I'm not. Then, if you become sexually aroused through stimulation from a woman you do not love, you are unquestionably a Tyrannosaur serpent. And you acknowledge that, don't you? This is about to get really goddamn awkward, isn't it? Yeah. Huh? Somehow, I felt as if the conversation had changed course on me. Very well, then. Konomi-chan turned her eyes away, still red in the face. I would like to test you, if I may. And if I pass this test, will you accept me? Rather, will you accept men? At least you'll know that we're not all seductive serpents, right? Yes? Good. Then I'll take your test. Are you an idiot? Ugh. Konomi-chan shut her eyes very tightly, and her face had been red the entire time since I'd arrived, and I started to worry that she was in developmental fever. Are you sure about this? I'm fine. Are you prepared? Prepared? Masaya-sama? Konomi-chan's eyes snapped open. I challenge you to a naked duel? Duel? I'm in a date. I knew that the dorm had a communal bath, but I'd never been inside it before. After all, there were only girls in the building, and a guy like me could hardly be expected to bathe with them. It was empty at the moment, and Konomi-chan told me that the students were forbidden from going in there at this hour. The entrance wasn't locked though, and you could still turn the faucet to add hot water, but no one ever broke the rule. Oh, I hope this is okay. I was afraid that if I turned her down, she would say, "You're going back on your word already?" So I had to go along with it. Of course we won't really be naked. I'll be wearing a swimsuit, you should do the same. There wasn't too much to object to under those conditions. Konomi-chan told me to go on ahead, so I waited for her to arrive. I stood there, eyes on the dressing room, when I saw a petite silhouette enter. I drew into a corner and began to undress. And even though I know she's got a swimsuit on underneath, it's still a little enticing. Okay, I still don't have a goddamn clue how old anybody is in this game. But the implication is that she's several years younger than you, dude. Have you forgot? I don't know if this is a universal thing, but I always reckon that a good general guide, not necessarily something to be stuck to rigidly, but a good general guide is the half plus 7 rule. That is, the acceptable dating range is half your age plus 7 years. So for example, I'm 23, which means that if I half my age and you round up, half my age would be 12, plus 7 would be 19. So the youngest I would even vaguely consider would be a 19-year-old. And then you just reverse the process to figure out the oldest maximum. But that's a good general guide. Anything too far outside that tends to end up being a little creepy. And the impression I get is that she's 13 at best. Now, even if we assume he's 18, then that's 9 plus 7 is 16. And even if we assume he's 16, then that would make it 15. Because let's face it, by the half plus 7 rule, below 14, you're basically, it doesn't work lower than that, and I find that to be a good general guide for how old people should be when they actually even consider dating. As I say, general rule, nothing set in stone, but I think it's a good guideline to work from. But Konomi-chan probably told me to go first because she was embarrassed to be seen undressing. So I turned my eyes away and waited for her to come in. Then I heard the door open and I turned back to face her. There was nothing objectively weird about the two of us being in swimsuits, but it still felt strange. It was probably the location. It's still a bath after all. It also felt strange for the two of us to be alone together, half naked. Okay, what do we do now? Do you feel sexually stimulated by me? Huh? Fully naked would have been preferable, of course, but it seemed inappropriate, so... Konomi-chan had that much common sense at least. I felt grateful for that. Sort of. You have no particular affection for me, Miseo-sama, but if you are nevertheless feeling sexually stimulated, then that would prove that you're an unabashed tentator serpent. It was true that I wasn't exactly in love with her, but Konomi-chan was amazingly cute, she had a lot of girlish appeal, so belying I said if I wasn't even slightly fazed by her right now. So this is the test. Well? Konomi-chan's body wiggled a little. It was probably an expression of embarrassment, but I couldn't help see it as alluring. Okay, I'm just gonna get through this segment as quickly as possible and get as creeped out as little as possible. I just know I'm gonna get pregnant. Just don't moan like that. I was on the verge of a dangerous reaction, but I held it in. That charming red face, that fair skin, slender bust, youthful hips. It was all really appealing, but the sheer nervousness was helping me keep control. Konomi-chan cast a glance back at me, and her eyes traced down to my lower abdomen. The gaze was certainly stimulating, but I managed to keep it together. You don't appear to be aroused? Yeah. So is this enough? Did I pass the test? No, not yet. What do I have to do? You're not going to touch me, are you? What do you mean? Down there or something? Of course not! I see. Then what are you going to do? Konomi-chan looked towards the bathtub. Well, we did come to this bath after all. We should take a bath? Right. Konomi-chan turned quickly and jumped into the water, and curled up self-consciously in a corner. I entered the water after her, sitting down some ways away from her. It's hot. It's actually tepid, but it felt strangely hot. Maybe that's just because my body was flushed. Come closer to me. Huh? Konomi-chan turned away from me. Sit back to back. Right. It was truly a strange sensation, sitting back to back in the water with a girl. Technically we did have a swimsuit separating us, but it wasn't that much of a boundary. I could still feel her skin through the thin cloth. My heart was racing so fast it was hard to breathe. What do you think? Are you aroused yet? Miseo-sama? Konomi-chan, how are you determining this? Huh? I mean, whether I'm aroused or not. In the textbook it said... I gathered some warm water in my hands and started scrubbing my face. Well, not aroused in that sense. Yet, at least, I wasn't out of the danger zone yet. But I am aroused in a sense. Oh no. All men do this. That doesn't mean we're like the protagonist in that story. The difference is straightforward to me, but I guess it's not to you, huh? It's not? Look, if we put people on a scale from normal to abnormal, what the vast majority does would be called normal, right? Ah, yes. Look, The vast majority of men would feel sexually aroused by you. Okay, how old is she meant to be? Because the way she's drawn makes me think she's about 12 or 13. And I find the implication that the vast majority of men would be sexually aroused by a 12-year-old incredibly creepy. Now maybe that's a cultural thing, but it's really creepy to me. If she's meant to be older, 15, 16, that's still creepy. It's because you're cute, Konami-chan. Men can't help having a reaction like that to cute girls. Even though they don't love them. Yes. And that's just a natural biological function for men. Pretty sure. I understand. I didn't even have time to feel relieved at her understanding before Konami-chan charged down a new path. But am I really cute? Yes, you're cute. I see. You sound disappointed. I'm a warrior. A warrior shouldn't be cute. They gave me the title Mignon Poupée as well. I'm not fond of that title. Yeah, it means some kind of doll, right? Darling doll, yes. Well, I think it suits you, though. A warrior's pride aside, described her appearance very well. What are you talking about? That's completely wrong. My true proper title is Lamis Sans Merci. Yeah? Don't act so shocked. Are you saying that I'm wrong? No, I've never heard it before. Never? See, I suppose there aren't that many people who call me by that one. It's quite rare to have two titles, right? Well, I suppose it is. So what does it mean? The Merciless Blade? That's amazing. They gave me that title after seeing how I fight in my Nagata matches, and I take pride in it. Wow. I was genuinely impressed. I've been working to get people to call me by that title instead. Maybe the reason you have to work so hard is because Mignon Poupée suits you better. What are you talking about? That's absolutely not true. That's how titles work, right? I knew that if I let it go, we could go back to talking about men's biological function, so I decided to argue for a bit. Look, it's true that you're cute after all. You keep saying that over and over? You really are a Tyrannosaurus serpent, aren't you? Yeah, I guess it did sound like I was flirting. I'm rather disappointed. Some men really are. Look, but remember what Ayaka-san said? The whole world was made up of saints we'd never reproduce. You shouldn't be so fastidious either. After you graduate, you might still want a boyfriend. I have my One-Osama, I don't need a boyfriend. I decided not to comment on that, and let the conversation turn to Ritsuko-chan. So yeah, they seem completely oblivious of the idea of lesbianism in this world. Fair enough. A lot of fiction likes to completely ignore, members of the LGBT community because the authors are a bit backwards. Look, you seem to respect Ritsuko-chan a lot, Konami-chan. Yes, I do. Was there something in particular that kicked that off? Yes, I can never forget. It was the day of the entrance ceremony. Her tone was soft and the tension in her back had relaxed. I stared at her I started to hear an intermediary, so I was nervous back then. Because most of the girls at Venice start in primary, right? Yes, everyone always seemed to know each other and I stood out. It was lonely. I didn't know anybody there, so I suppose it was natural, but I felt like everyone else was going out of their way to ignore me. I see. I can imagine. And in my loneliness, it was One-Osama who first spoke to me. I was heading to the cathedral, where the opening ceremony was being held, when suddenly this voice called to me. And I saw a woman walking towards me, and I remember thinking that she was so beautiful. And I thought, what could someone so beautiful want with me? Standing in front of One-Osama for the first time, I was mesmerized. And then with gentle hand, she straightened my bow, and she said, "It's crooked." And I was so paralyzed I couldn't even thank her, but she smiled at me and gracefully took her leave. Watching her walk away, she just looked so amazing. Thinking about it makes my heart race even now. Konami-chan was unusually talkative when discussing that precious memory. And in that moment, I decided I would follow One-Osama for the rest of my life, that I was always protect her. That's why I'll even do things like this. Things like this. Testing you? Because I have my doubts whether it's safe for you to interact with one Osama. Guess this has been pretty hard on you too, huh? Of course it is. Putting on a swimsuit, getting in the bath. I guess it's been a lot of trouble for you too, Miss Osama. No, it's not any trouble at all. So how did I do? Did I pass the test, do you think? I don't know what to think anymore. I thought I would know for certain after I saw it. Now you're saying there's more to sexual arousal than that? It's the truth. I understand. Then we'll go into overtime. Oh God, what are we gonna do? Let me think. We're already in the bath, so I'll wash your back. What, mine? You sure about that? Don't act so pleased about it. This is just a test. I know that, but it's the first time the girls washed my back before. Konomi-chan stood with a splash, and I followed her lead. Are you really sure about this? Yes, go ahead. If you insist. I turned to sit on the stool, and a moment later I felt her behind me, holding her breath. Mrs. Sama, what? Oh, scar on my back. Yes? It was hard to communicate while facing away from her, so I turned back. I guess that's the first time you've seen my back. You didn't notice when I was naked in the Red Rose Society room. I didn't notice anything like this. Must have been a shock then, I'm sorry. Not at all. I reached out to touch the scar. It was a slick, enticing sensation. How did you get this? Don't know myself. Huh? Suddenly it was just there. Really don't know how I got it. That can't be. It's so big, this isn't a scar you could get without knowing it. You may be right, but I really don't remember it. I felt shocked myself the first time I saw it in the mirror. It was discoloured. In other words, it came from a deep wound. Ran all the way from my shoulder blade to my hip. I craned my neck to look at it in the mirror, horrified. Not only by the size of the scar, that it was disturbing, but the fact that I didn't remember getting it. Miss Osama, could I have another look at it? I turned back around. At the soft touch of her fingertip, my back arched automatically. Is this part of the test? But it wasn't. Konomi-chan spoke in a firm tone. I knew it. This is... She traced its length. It tickled and I had to keep writhing in the solemn atmosphere. My grandmother was also a fencing instructor, and when I was young she told me something. What is it? A blade scar on someone's back means they've run from an enemy or... a blade? Now that you mention it, could the scar come from a bladed weapon? That they were protecting someone? And just then the floor began to shake slightly, and then violently. Ah! This is a big one. I spread out my arms to keep my balance, and Konomi-chan gripped my hand in fear, and I held hers back tightly. And the shaking continued, and I happened to catch sight of something out of the corner of my eye. Was the faucet turning on? It was most likely due to the tremors, and suddenly I felt a pain like thousands of needles in my pierced back. Ah! 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 The shower was spewing out hot water, and the faucet was set to hot. The earthquake had turned it on at full blast. Ah! Look out! Ah! I scooped up Konomi-chan in my arms and ran from the shower. Phew! That was hot. I turned around to see the steam rising. Oh, are you okay? I need to cool you down fast. Ah, right. She dragged me off to another shower and quickly turned on the faucet. The cold water rained down. I felt a sense of relief. When you get a burn, the most important thing to do is to cool it off. Turn around, please. I did as she asked, and she started showering me off. It's turning red. Is there any blistering? Doesn't look like it, but it's probably fine. Are you okay, Konomi-chan? Yes, I'm fine, but... Miss Osama, you protected me? I see. Does it hurt? She touched me gently with a finger, just as before. A little. That's cooled down, it should heal quickly. Do you think that burn will leave a scar too? It's not that bad. It's not that bad, right? I couldn't say for sure, but at least the pain was subsiding. Konomi-chan confirmed my thought. It seemed strangely flustered. I guess that was because of the earthquake. There was a small skylight close to the ceiling, so I could make out faint silhouettes. But other than that, it was dark. What's wrong? I could feel a faint trembling in the shower behind me. I'm scared of the dark. Let's get out of here then. Burn's healed anyway. Right. However, it won't open. Huh? I turned back to her with a troubled expression, my hand still on the door. The door won't open. And with that fantastically awesome piece of news that's almost certainly going to lead to more embarrassment, I will say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.